Joining me now, the Senate Armed Services Committee member, Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator, good to see you.
Yes, sir, Bob.
Your thoughts? Democrat freakouts. They always say we're a threat to democracy, and they're still running with it. I think that's a losing message, though.
Yeah, Donald Trump's a threat to the Democrats' democracy. At the end of the day, President Trump's doing the right thing, but we've got to do two things, Bob, to save the United States of America. We've got to cut spending, and we've got to grow the country, and that's what he's trying to do. He is trying to do everything he possibly can to cut the fat out of what we've got going on here in Washington, D.C. and all across the country when it comes to federal government. And if we don't do that, if we continue to listen to the Democrats, we're going to have huge problems in the future. So he's doing the right thing. It's hard to do, but he's got the Doge Group working very hard to accomplish everything we possibly can just in the next few months, and then hopefully continue to do it for the next 4 years.
Senator, talk about some of that spending that it has uncovered. And we just came off of an interview with Mercedes Schlapp about CPAC happening this week, that fighting back globalism. We've come to find out a lot of our taxpayer money has gone to fund DEI programs all across the globe here. I think Americans should be angered by that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're probably going to find out a lot of it's just a scam. Money's going out supposedly to certain places, but it's going somewhere else. People need to go to jail for this. I mean, this is, if you had one or two things like this happening, it would be different. But it's happening all over the world, and it's happened for years. And so we need to find out, really, at the end of the day, who's responsible for appropriating this money, who's responsible for writing these checks, and who's responsible for getting the money in their bank account, because this is way out of control. And again, Doge is going to continue. We just met with J.D. Vance, our vice president, in a Senate caucus. He talked about that, about how hard that Doge is working. They just gotten started, and it's really going to accelerate when you get in the DOD, you start looking in Social Security, you start looking at the IRS. All the things that are involved with all these appropriations are just going to exaggerate.
You said, Senator, people need to go to jail. Expand on that.
Well, again, you can't spend all this money to some of these entities. There's no way the money ever made it to these places. So, again, when you appropriate something, you're going to write a check to a group. Eventually, you got to find out whether it went there, who spent it, did it help the situation that was supposed to be involved. But a lot of these things are just made-up names. They're just made up. And again, you heard President Trump say yesterday, he went through a list of them. He said, listen, this is fraud. There's no way some of these places actually receive this money. So it's going to be interesting to watch. But again, I hate it for the American people. They've had to go through this. But again, tough times get hard. President Trump is going to he's going to expose all this. And then after we expose it, we correct it.
I think you're onto something with that. That's why I wanted you to elaborate here. I want to turn now. The NCAA, talk about this. Obviously, Coach, you're senator and coach just as well. They amended their gender eligibility policy. It's come under scrutiny by women's rights activists over, I guess there are loopholes that some would argue could continue to allow biological males to compete still in women's sports. This, we know, comes off the NCAA changing its policy on February 7th to now stay a student athlete assigned male at birth may practice on an NCAA women's team and receive all other benefits applicable to the student athletes here. Can you expand on that for me?
Well, basically, at the end of the day, the NCAA continues their streak of being gutless. They have no clue in terms of really working for the young men and women that are involved in NCAA. They want to appease everybody, and you can't do that. Just go by the law. President Trump made it illegal for men to participate in women's sports. And then you look what the NCAA did. They come out and said, oh, we're going to do that, but we're going to still allow them to practice, allow them to dress in the dressing room, take showers with them. It's ridiculous. And, you know, a lot of people were real excited at first. But again, you start reading between the lines here, the NCAA, they just cannot make a decision that is going to be for men and women only. It's going to be made for supposedly all the DEI woke nonsense that's out there that Democrats have been pushing for the last 4 years.
Well, Senator, I'm glad you came on and you brought this up. I hope it gains some traction here. More people keep exposing that not much may change, actually, with the NCAA. Good to see you, sir. Senator Tommy Tuberville. Appreciate you coming on.